Hey nerds and my fellow chronically online people, it's Rebecca J. How you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So you see the title, so let's get into it. There has been this conversation that has been going online for I would say the past couple of months that's really started to get on my fucking nerves. And it's this conversation, it's like partially a serious conversation and partially is just like people just hee, oh my god, it's so funny. But it's this conversation around, if I give you up for adoption, then why the fuck would you come looking for me? Because clearly I didn't want you. Interesting thing about this, which to me is not interesting as an adoptee who's been in the online adoption space for a very long time, is most of the people who are talking about this are not adoptees. They're not adoptees. They've never been adopted. They've never adopted. They have nothing to do with adoption or foster care. They're just people who like to talk online. I feel that as your resident online unfriendly auntie-adoptee, I had a close adoption and also so happened to have a wonderful reunion with my birth family 2 years ago. I feel that I am very much qualified to talk about this, not to mention the fact I am currently going back for my master's studying public policy with a concentration in adoption and foster care policy, and then going on to pursue a PhD in the same topic. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Not to mention the fact that just from personal experience of being an adoptee myself, adopted at birth, and speaking directly to the face of my mother who put me up for adoption years ago, I think that I can speak pretty freely on this topic. So, first thing, shut the fuck up. Okay, I mean, we can really just start and end the conversation right there. Shut the fuck up. Again, this is not a conversation that's happening within the adoption community. These conversations that come up are always from people who have nothing to do with the adoption community, who have no fucking idea about anything happening in adoption, about the laws, about the policy, about the manipulation, about the injustice, about the human trafficking, all that shit that happens in the adoption and the foster care space. Y'all just like to talk like it's fucking ridiculous. And I've seen this narrative going around on TikTok quite a bit, which on TikTok there's much more of a heavy or like adoptee community, so the my other fellow adoptee creators have definitely jumped in there and pushed back against this narrative. But I've also seen it start to pop up on like Facebook and Threads, and I'm pretty heavy over on Threads, so I see this quite a bit. I know a lot of the other creators haven't made it over to Threads, mostly because it's not monetized, but personally I like that it's not monetized. Anyway, besides the point. But my point is this conversation has been gaining traction, and a lot of it, again, like I said, is done with this air of like, hee hee haha, isn't that so funny? Oh, it's just a joke. But it's like, it's not a joke because these are people's actual lives, right? And it's a harmful narrative to push for both adoptees and birth families. To answer the question straight up, should adoptees reach out to their birth families? Simple answer is, if they want to, yeah. Like, yes. If you are an adoptee or you're a foster child and you had not had contact with your birth family and you decide that is something that you want to pursue, you absolutely can and should do so if you want to. Is it always easy? No. And I don't think there's any adoptee on the planet who suspects that it's going to be easy. There's a lot of internal struggles that we deal with as adoptees who want to go through that journey. There's a lot of fear in that journey. There's a lot of roadblocks because, again, the adoption industry is very predatory. So a lot of times you are struggling to even find correct information or information at all. We're new here. I was adopted at 3 days old. My adoption was technically closed, so all of my records are redacted. So for most of my life, the only information that I had about my mom was her first name and that I was adopted from Texas. That is all that I know. If I go through my adoption files, everything is redacted. It's completely blacked out. I don't have any information. And so for most of my life, I was pretty content with where I wouldn't say I wasn't content, but for the most of my life, I was dealing with my own internal identity to worry before worrying about even trying to reconnect with my birth family, right? And until I was fully in my 20s that I was like, okay, I think I want to start the process of reaching out. But because all my stuff is redacted, and the more that I was digging into the agencies and trying to backtrack through all these files and stuff, it was going off of basically just like a phone number that was disconnected or the name of an agency that no longer exists. The more stuff that started to come up that was like, this is real fucking sketchy. Like, for example, the agency that was kind of like the middleman that they went through in Texas literally is under investigation by the FBI for black market adoptions, aka human trafficking. like like it's just like there's so much bullshit that is going on in the adoption industry to pretend like everything is on the up and up is just fucking stupid at this point, if you still believe that. It took me years to track her down, and I actually didn't even know if it was her for sure. But basically what happened is I managed to track down a first name and a last name, and I knew her last known location was Houston, Texas, which is a big ass place. And for all I know, at this point, it's been like 28 years. She might not even be in Houston. She might not even be alive. How the fuck would I know? We don't know anything. Basically what I did is I got her first and her last name, and I just started messaging people on Facebook that either had that name or had similar names. And yeah, there were quite a few awkward, like, what the fuck are you talking about, girl? But eventually I found her. Hearing her side of the story really is what made me realize that this adoption industry is way more fucked than I ever thought it was. Because her story was completely different to the story that my parents had been told, and completely different from the story that the adoption agency was selling us. So, bomb drop, she thought I was dead. This entire time, she thought that her firstborn daughter, her oldest daughter, had been dead this entire time. So think about that when you sit up here and you spew this narrative that you shouldn't reach out to your biological family because they gave you up for a reason. No, she was told that I was dead. And unfortunately, this isn't an uncommon experience. This is actually a very common experience, especially for women of color and women who are in lower economic classes, right? This happens all the fucking time because, as we have said many, many times before, or if you're new here, surprise, adoption is a for-profit industry. It is literally legalized human trafficking. You are paying money to buy somebody else's child, and then that child is being delivered to you. All right, which means that they have to create a supply and demand. It just is what it is. But going back to the initial question in the first place, should adoptees even reach out? Again, if they want to, great. There are a lot of adoptees that have absolutely no desire to ever have anything to do with their biological family. And it could be because they don't want to. It could be out of fear. It could be out of anger. It could be out of whatever. But the bottom line is it's their choice. If they never want to reach out to a biological family, they don't have to. If they like to, it is well within your right to do so. And I guess for me, my thing is like, at the end of the day, people can always decline, right? If your biological family truly wants nothing to do with you, they can just say that, right? If you reach out to them and you're like, I would really love to establish a connection with you, I'd like to meet for coffee, whatever it is, whatever extent of a relationship that you try to pursue. Because sometimes I think that y'all be really, again, because y'all are dummies and you don't listen to adoptees and you have no idea what you're talking about. Every reunification is not some deep, fuzzy love story. Like sometimes adoptees literally just want to say hello, know that you exist, and they're good. Some may want to like meet up for coffee and like get really basic information. Like for example, I still to this day, I have no idea of like family health history. I have no idea what I could be at risk for. Those are important things to know about your life. You know, there are adoptees who might just want to meet up to know those things. They might just want to meet up to ask a few questions. And there's adoptees who might want to pursue a real relationship and rekindle that if that's something that people are open to. But it is a two-way consensual street. And we know that. And unfortunately, we also know that a lot of the times it isn't a happy ending, which is why adoptees think very long and hard before even bothering to pursue that journey. The reunification journey is not something that adoptees just jump into willy-nilly. Now, on the flip side, speaking as somebody who has met my mother and heard her side of the story, I think we need to really have a conversation and be serious about the fact that every adoption, in fact, I would say the vast majority of adoptions are not just done out of hate and out of, well, I just don't want you, right? Because if that was the case, much more people would have just done abortions. I mean, now I know it's a much more tricky thing since y'all are revoking reproduction rights everywhere. But like most people who are giving their kids up for adoption, first of all, are not doing so voluntarily. Okay, if we're being quite honest, a lot of people in the adoption system are people who have been taken away from families for non-violent things. For literally, there was a woman that I did a video on a couple years ago who her kids were taken away and put into the system literally because she was late on some court fees. Imagine being late on some court fees, your children being taken away and then bought by some white people, and now you have lost your kids. And then you have these dumbasses online talking about you should never try to reach out to your family again because clearly they gave you up for adoption because they hate you. Like, no, that's not how this system works. Like, are you guys new to America? Did you just get here? Did you just wake up? Nothing in America is done above board. Nothing in America is just. Nothing is done with equity and ethics in mind. Okay, most especially not children, especially when most of the children in the system are children of color. Now, my mother was somebody. First of all, she was a teenager. She had no family, homeless. She already had a child who was, I believe, almost about 2 years old. So I have an older brother. And she was pregnant with me. She didn't have health care. So literally the way that she described it to me was like she went into a hospital to get help because she's pregnant and she's homeless and she was having health issues because of that. And basically this nurse that was there manipulated her very much so and introduced her to this sketchy ass like homeless shelter, but they also do like adoptions, which again, sketchy as fuck. And again, this is also the place that is under investigation by the FBI. But basically, she got into this place, she got like some stable housing, and they told her that if she wanted to stay and have stable housing, that she had to give the baby up for adoption. And obviously she struggled with that because she didn't want to do that. But ultimately, she was manipulated and convinced that she was not going to be able to give me the life that I deserved. So she agreed to give me up for adoption. However, she did not agree to a closed adoption. And for those of you who do not know, a closed adoption is basically when all the court records are sealed, everything is redacted so that there can't be any contact, whether it's the biological parent to the adoptee or the adoptee to the biological parent. Fun fact, historical lesson here. Contrary to popular opinion, closed adoptions were not created to protect adoptees or protect the birth family. It was actually to protect the adoptive families, which most of the laws and policies that are in place for the adoption industry are literally only about the concerns of the adoptive parents. Literally the reasons why closed adoptions exist is because infertile white women, to be clear, couldn't have children, had to find a way to source kids without people knowing that they were infertile. They started taking kids, providing them for these infertile white women to adopt in these very sketchy things, and then they would close the adoption so that there wouldn't be any paper trail, right? You couldn't say, if somebody looked into it, it was like, oh, Gretchen has a baby all of a sudden, but we didn't see her pregnant for the last 9 months. Where the fuck did this baby come from? And you went digging into it. There was nothing to find because everything's redacted and there is no paper trail. That is how closed adoptions came to be. The entire adoption industry, the policies that exist today, please go look up Georgia Tan, because they are based on her practices, and she was a social worker here in the United States, who was a scammer who literally took people's babies and sold them. Anyways, but most of the policies that exist currently in adoption are based on the policies that she helped put in place. That is all to say they're unethical. They are not even remotely in the best judgment for the adoptee or the birth families. Say this grandiose idea that y'all have where the only reason somebody would be faced with giving their child up for adoption is because they just don't want the child is absolutely fucking absurd. The vast majority of people who are in a position where they are giving the child up for adoption are not doing it because they just don't want a child or because they hate their kid. They're not just like, fuck you, bitch. It's a very fucking hard decision to do. It's a very hard decision to make, and a lot of times you're making it against your will. A lot of times the decision is being made for you by the court, by somebody else, because you're poor, because you're a person of color. Like, can we just stop pretending that America is just so fucking ethical and on the up and up? Like, be so fucking for real. There is a reason why so many countries now outside the US are literally closing their borders for adoptions to America, because America is fucked. But moving on to my next point, even if Somebody maybe originally gave their child up for adoption because they just didn't want their child, or for whatever reason they had hatred in their heart, or whatever it is. People's feelings also can change. So to sit here and pretend that like you shouldn't reach out because one decision at one point in somebody's life is going to be how they feel 30 years from now is fucking stupid. Continuing this narrative, whether you think it's just a funny hee hee ha joke or you seriously believe that, either way, it's harmful. And it's not just harmful because it hurts somebody's feelings. It is directly supporting the injustice and the unethical policies that exist today in the adoption and the foster care industry. Our policies that exist today in America are not with what's best for the child in mind. That is the last thing that's on their mind. The policies that exist are literally for the adoptive parents. And I have said this before, but I'm sorry, the rights that the adoptive parents really could not care less about. They are the only party in what we call the adoption triad, which is the adoptive parents, the adoptee, and the birth family. They are the only people in this entire scenario that have full autonomy in what they want, what they say, what they do. They are the only people that are not being manipulated in any way, right? Adoptees, nobody gives a fuck about our well-being, right? If they did, there wouldn't be such a high rate of abuse in adoptive families, right? Or suicide among adoptees, or just trauma in general, because literally ripping a child away from their family and putting them in another family is inherently traumatic. Shocking, right? Furthermore, it just fuels this predatory system that we have in place. And as somebody who's literally getting my master's degree in this exact thing because it pisses me off so fucking much, stop that shit. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not cute. If you don't know what you're talking about, then shut the fuck up. Like, it's okay to shut the fuck up. You actually don't need to give your opinion on everything. Please open a book. Please open a book. I know y'all can't read anymore, but like audiobooks exist. Do something, but do something to not be as stupid as y'all are, because this is ridiculous. And I'm just going to end with a video of showing y'all the moment that I walk through the door and I see my mother for the first time, because I really want y'all to sit with the fact that you're sitting here and saying they gave you up for a reason because they don't want you. Why would you ever reach out to me? Does this look like a woman who never wanted to see her eldest daughter again? Does this look like a woman who wanted to be told that her daughter was dead? Does this look like a woman who was angry that 30 years later her daughter finally found her? So I want you to sit here, and I'm going to play the video in its entirety because it's like a 7-minute video. And I want you to sit here, and I want you to be uncomfortable. And I want you to, at the end of this video, tell me if that looks like somebody who didn't ever want to see their daughter ever again. That looks like somebody who wanted me to stay away forever and not meet my other siblings, because I have 4 siblings that I didn't know about, and they're all happy to see me, and she had told everybody about me. But now here I am 30 years later meeting my mother for the first time. And if I had listened to you dumbasses on the internet, this would have never happened, and she would still to this day think that her eldest daughter was dead. So sit with that.
See that video.
They twins.
I told you they twins.
Ooh, they twins.
Y'all are twins. We need to take a picture.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. You should say, oh my god. Let me get a picture here. Oh, that's nice. Oh, so cute. Oh my goodness. I let you.
Okay, hi everybody.
Let's start with your grandmother first. That's my mother, Mary. Hi. That's your auntie right here. That's the oldest sister. My mom's sister. I'm Mickey. This is Jean, Rebecca's adopted mom. Met her when I was 19 years old.
Jean.
These are your cousins.
Yes.
Named after you.
This is Teresa.
These are my children.
This is my
First cousin, we grew up together.
his daughter.
Hi.
All right. This is your cousin. Also, this is Risha. Hi. These are your siblings. It's so nice to meet you. It's a blessing.
We all got two flowers.
This is Blessing's wife.
Thank you.
And that is Mary's man. That's Sterling. This is your family.
Thank you. I'm glad. So, oh my goodness.
And this is my mother who died. Wow.
Your great grandma.
That's a great grandma.
I know.
Turn around because you forgot our pictures.
Yeah, that's your great grandmother. That's their mom.
That's my
This
brother.
is her brother, first cousin. He was murdered. But I wanted you to meet him. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember on my page when I
Yeah, she's my first cousin. We're a year apart, so they're two sisters' cousins. We grew up together. Yeah.
And you have another sibling, right? You know his wife. Okay? You guys make yourself at home, have a seat, get comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened? Oh, that was my husband.
He just.
So, yeah, you guys have a seat.
Here, let's.
I didn't know where to get you. As a gift. You're welcome.
This is enough.
I
Yeah.
like Texas thus far.
Y'all missed the good weather yesterday. It'll be warm tomorrow, about 80 degrees tomorrow.
It's very bipolar here, so one day you may be in shorts, the next day you're in leather pants. My husband called me Michael Jackson today. Your Michael Jackson pants.
I'm in LA.
Wow.
This is my husband. Hi, nice to meet you. Ron.
Hi, Ron.
This is her adopted mom. 19. Last time I seen her.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, my
yeah. So,
goodness.
yeah.
I know we can. Oh my goodness, it's so nice to see you. You know, Rebecca, I met you the first time I met you and the last time I met you. You were only a few hours old in the hospital, so I'm just glad to finally see you and meet you. And
Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
yeah,
Glad this could finally
yeah.
happen.
So yeah.
She looks like her great grandmother to me.
Now she looked just like you. Yeah, you are a picture. Yeah.